Welcome to Culture Shift with Duda Penteado. And today I have here one of my favorite guests here in the neighborhood, Bergen-Lafayette neighborhood. Mike, part of the history of the neighborhood. Mike the Grind, right? Is
Right.
going to tell a story of coffee, community, and everything. Let's begin in the beginning. Tell us how, how did you come to the neighborhood and why coffee? Take us to that.
Prior to coming to Bergen-Lafayette, I was a high-level creative consultant for a lot of big brands like Samsung, Levi's, Nike, Timberland, and I used to do a lot of traveling in Europe. I would travel to Europe a lot, and I would see how big the coffee culture was, in especially in Italy. And I fell in love with how serious they took the coffee. They took the coffee culture. So I wanted to bring that back to Jersey City. So around 2015, after doing some soul searching and I was scouting out areas, I wanted to open up a coffee shop. I decided on Bergen Lafayette because I thought Bergen Lafayette had a lot of Brooklyn charm to it. It was undeveloped. It had multi different cultures in the community. And I just thought with the proper amount of respect, that's
Mm.
why I put a lot of attention to detail in the space. We could make something here and we could dig our feet
You,
deep into the
you,
community.
you know how you're telling me this is totally makes sense to me now. Um, I'm gonna say a few things. First of all, I've been in the U.S. 30 years now. I'm like 2 more years in the U.S. I'm from Brazil, originally from Brazil, and the U.S. had such a bad rap with coffee, man. I just remember coming to the U.S. and I'm like, hey, you have Dunkin' Donuts, and there's this big cup.
Well, I can give you my opinion on that.
Well, the way what I'm gonna tell where I'm going with this. I come from the tradition of the Italian the espresso, and then I come in these big cups with coffee, and I'm like, this feels a lot. It felt a lot to me like tea, right?
No, the Americans use coffee as fuel to keep them going, to keep
Mm.
them working, to give them a boost at work. Whereas in Europe, it's more of a cultural, socialized event. They sit there, they drink. I mean, I would be with some Italians, and if the shot was pulled too much, they would send it back. It's more of a social event, and they do it multiple times during the day. There's always let's go have a. You have one cappuccino and let's go do an espresso. Let's have an espresso. Let's have an espresso. But I thought it was more of a social thing. That's why I made the space more inviting for people to come in, sit down, have a cup of coffee. And to me, a lot of people are you crazy? You should be downtown Jersey City. I was like, nah. They said black people don't drink coffee. I was like, nah, who you think is buying Dunkin' Donuts? Who you think is buying McDonald's coffee? I was like, nah, I think if you introduce it correctly, you know, people would follow. So we were very successful in just staying the course.
Yeah. So you make me think about a lot of things. You're right. Actually, right about that. I think coffee in America was part of the fast food idea, grabbing, run, and go, and it's kind of shocking for me because Brazil just had this kind of European traditions, a lot of Italians. So we want to sit down, have this espresso. It was more celebrational that way. So the thing about this big cup, kind of watered down and just getting run and go here and there was kind of weird. Obviously, we're around New York City, and New York City, when they catch something, they do well. We'll have today coffee places, you do taste coffee, whatever. But it took a long time, I believe, for the cultural coffee, I guess, how the tradition is done to get caught up in America. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying because I was driving here in the neighborhood. I would say maybe 2 years before I ever met you. And I'm driving and I see this very cool coffee place. And it's me. I grew up in Brazil. I travel Europe and I'm like, man, I gotta stop here and have some coffee. And but the way you designed the place, I just knew I was gonna have a great coffee when I walk in there.
Right.
So I walk in there. I'm like, hey man, what you have? I ask up the entire menu. They explain have this. Oh, give me a double espresso or give me a little croissant. And I sat down there and I'm like, oh, they now they have internet here. I'm gonna so it makes a lot of sense because obviously by going to a place, I know you were a man of good taste. Number one, you
Thank
know.
you.
And then now he's making a lot more sense because you're traveling, you work with brands, but you're also going to a lot of different countries and learning different ways, right, of
Right.
life. And America has incredible things,
Right.
but the fast food industry is it's a little complicated deal, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So wow, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying this. And I do think you were one of the guys who start like beginning to change this neighborhood because one of the things I love this neighborhood is there's still the bodega, it's still a lot of community organic things which I love,
Right.
but also now when you come in now you start having this restaurant and this coffee place, so
Right.
I can go to the bodega, but I can have the espresso here. Like the quality and the variety is amazing.
I mean, I think 10 years ago when we planted our flag in Bergen-Lafayette, we made it very, very possible for people to start coming out their houses. There was no big buildings or developments here, and we were the very, very first retail store that was different. Everything was just bodegas or a Spanish restaurant or something to that extent. So we came in and we did 3 months worth of build out, and we used really good materials as far as walnut and Carrara marble and glass and metal, and we researched the best coffee that we could serve here, and we didn't cut corners on anything. So when I came here, it was very, very, I mean, there would be very, very days that we would only have a few people come through the doors. So it took a long time to build up the community, the trust, because it was a revolving door here. A lot of revolving doors. You would have cops, you would have gang activities, but it was like a revolving door. People would
Mm,
come and go, come and go. We stayed. We've been here like 11 years now. We
yeah.
was here before Morty's. We was here before Harry's daughter. We was here before 902. We was here before um Eggs Up and Lafayette Cafe. We was here a long time. I seen all those places being built. There was nothing but barren land on Johnston Avenue. Now you have big high rises. You have the Atlas. Now you have Hazel 1 and 2. I mean, we're definitely the pioneers of Bergen Lafayette, 100%. No one could deny that. The grind,
That's amazing.
yeah, the grind is the pioneers of
The
jerk.
grind, those grind.
Yeah, we definitely.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So when the area was started to develop, you had a lot of realtors, you had a lot of developers, you had a lot of people coming into the neighborhood looking to scope out the area and see how they can be a part of the change. And they would stop at the grind. Always would stop at the grind. We've been on more websites than I know. We've been on everybody's website, so yeah, we've been grinding.
That's amazing. I mean, you touched my next point. That let's elaborate a little more. Let's talk about, you know, I always tell people, everybody says, I want to be the pioneer. And then I'm like, you don't really want to be that one,
No,
because being the pioneer person, you're really paying the price
yeah,
and really grinding and open the doors for a lot of new people. They
right,
come later, oh my God, now looks awesome. And
right.
like, you don't know how it was. So talk a little bit about the price and
The price that it takes to be a
the
pioneer.
yeah, like because I understand even more better about you because you work in a lot of businesses, you're doing branding, so I'm imagining you kind of calculated, hey, I'm gonna pay the price for two years until I establish this and that. How was your plan for like the neighborhood, your business plan as
Um,
entrepreneur?
I would think that my plan was to build a brand. I've been in the branding business, so I understood what it takes. Every overnight sensation takes 10 years. So I was
Mm,
in the branding business. Had I been in the retail coffee or store business, that's a different business. But I always looked at the grind as a brand. So I knew what
Wow.
it takes to
Yes.
build a brand. To build a
Amazing.
brand it takes perseverance, it takes ups and downs, lefts and rights, pivots. So it takes a lot of different turns and bumps in the road. So I was so used to building brands that, and I built plenty of brands, and it's not a over every overnight sensation took 10 years. Every overnight
Wow.
sensation.
I love the point. Yesterday was this few days we're doing different interviews, and I was talking to another artist, and I said, a lot of people don't understand. I'll just give an example of Arbazo right in Miami. Everybody, Arbazo, Arbazo. I'm like, dude, Arbazo has been grinding in Miami for 23 years.
Right,
And now everybody knows,
right,
but it's 23 years.
right,
And there's there's always like three things that I think is important is be in the right place with the right time and with the right people, right? And when those three combine together, you start creating the right, I call the right explosion, right? The right chemistry. But then it takes the 10 years for this and then the 20 years for that.
right,
So people's like, oh, I never heard about this guy. I always tell people when you never heard about that guy or about the brand, they probably around for 20 years.
right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, yeah, I took the space with a long-term vision. Long-term vision was to build a brand, and now we're at our decade mark. We've been in Bergen-Lafayette a decade. So when you get to a decade mark, you start doing a lot of self-reflection on what's the next evolution of the brand. So that's what we're working on now. How do you evolve the brand into where the next decade is the money version of it. You start making money off of what you built. You know, the the uh the most important part of a building is the foundation. And that takes the longest. Before you can
Mm,
build up the
amazing
foundation,
reflection.
the
Correct.
foundation takes a long
Correct.
time to build.
Right
The,
foundation, right building.
yeah, yeah.
True, true, true.
So it took a long
Love it.
time to build the foundation. Now we have to start building the building. We built the foundation a long time. I mean, anybody in Bergen-Lafayette knows the grind. Anybody in Greenville knows the grind. Downtown, we even touched downtown, and it's strictly by quality and reputation of consistency.
Agree.
You know, it's just consistency.
Agree.
Mhm.
Um, Now that we talked about this incredible foundation that you build, I mean, you really know what it takes,
Mhm.
right? And the layers of cement that you gotta pour right in that
Yeah,
foundation,
yeah.
right? Um, let's move on. After a few years, I know you're very aware of you love community and
Mhm.
connection. So let's talk a little about some major things that you did in the neighborhood that you think is a good to. You did a lot of stuff, but
A lot.
highlight
I think one of the biggest
few things.
accomplishment that grind, to me, in my opinion, did was we started Grind Society, which is a wellness component of grind. It
Mm.
was a run club. We used to do yoga activations in the park. We used to do couch to 5K activations. So I think one of the biggest contributions that we made to Bergen Lafayette was Grind Society, because it brought the community together. Any given Sunday, I could have 50, 60 runners out there, all shades, Indian, white, black, Asian, all running together. And it was just a community thing that that just grew. We just grew, and I didn't understand it's also important to have good people around you, because I didn't understand the meaning of community. But then when just told me the importance of building a community, I mean, we were able to build the community of Grind Society, and it worked really well. It was I think that was a major aside from staying power, you know,
Mm.
the community, the wellness community aspect of the run club, and the community aspect of grind, I think was a major accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm glad you touching this point because one of the things I want to meet more about the Liberal Art District Foundation is really to explore with you the wellness element of the neighborhood. I think this is a very important thing for people today, right? People, I guess, move on from fast food. They know it's not good. People want to live different lifestyles, and COVID actually put the nail in the coffin, right? Where people start really thinking about what about be just in the park and be more open and be more well connected in touch
Well,
with themselves, right?
well, COVID. I was here during COVID. And we
Right.
didn't close one day. We was considered an essential worker, so we stayed open, serving coffee to the community. And one times that the community would come out their house was to buy coffee. They supported us all throughout COVID. So
That's amazing.
we went through one pandemic. We went through the COVID-19 pandemic. Now I think we're going through a mental wellness pandemic. And
Mm,
it's very important right now for
mm,
community to support each other. And I think Grind has did a very, very good, um, we did a very, very good job of supporting the community of Bergen-Lafayette. Anytime anything happens in Bergen-Lafayette, it's a good chance that the grind is behind it, from all of the activations. Like my little bro Mateo has been very, very instrumental in bringing the community together as well with his well curated events, well curated parties, his activations, his social media presence. He's been a real, real strong component inside of the grinds, you know, definitely. So no one business is built by one person. No, no,
correct. I agree with you.
no. It's a group effort,
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to have a good group. Even the workers. I mean, a lot of the workers have worked with the grind for 4, 5, 6 years. Go, come back. And it's
Mm.
like, there's been times when some of them are like, I want to explore my career. I'm like, yo, that's what you went to college for. Explore your career. And if anything changes and you need a shift, you know where to come. Your family. We never looked at each other as like employer and worker. It's always like us against the machine. So, I think we've been very successful.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Um, Another thing I picked up, besides the great quality of the product itself, coffee, and the design quality, the
Right.
materials,
Mhm.
you also have a lot of art in there. So
Mhm.
tell me us a little
I
more
was on
about.
Mateo. He's very into I would say Mateo's very inspired by architect and design, and he has a creative eye. And I never knew that he has such a big interest in art until he curated the space with a friend of his that had a lot of artwork. A lot of artwork. His boy Fritz, and they curated the whole space and made it look entirely different than what traditional coffee shops look like. Traditional coffee shops are very just like, all about just the coffee. It was more curated. It gave it a more design on forward focus.
Yeah, that's really makes you guys stand out. The collection has changed. You guys change pieces up time after
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Different
Uh-huh.
exhibitions.
Mhm.
You also we talked about last year. You do like some DJing coffee stuff like that.
Always, I mean, yeah, we always have events at the shop and have special guest DJs, a lot of different DJs, and just to bring something different to the community.
So those events happen like afternoon, evening,
From
morning.
afternoon into the evening.
Okay,
Mm.
sure, sure. Awesome. Yeah, the culture of coffee has gone into having a regular espresso to bring cold brews and all kinds
Yeah,
of different things, right?
it's changed. Yeah, it's changed, but it still remains the same. It changed, but it still remains the same. There's still people that come in for cortado. Then there's some people that want a banana nut latte. So it's changed. You have to change with the time. You have to constantly be evolving. You can't stand still in business.
And then beyond than coffee, you also serve amazing sandwiches and
Yeah.
all kinds of. Tell us a little bit about how you went about pairing and how you pair the food with the coffee and the branding.
Um, we pay attention to quality and detail. Quality and detail. It took us a few months to even come up with those recipes, and it took us even more time to find the right bread. And we just basically always strive to have the top product. Well, it's about product with us. So we would always strive to have the best ingredients and not just be a deli sandwich or just a regular a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It's always levels to what we do. It's always leveled up. So that people will talk about it, and people come from distances to experience what we have.
Something unique.
Yeah, it's
Right.
something unique. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, this is great. You can really sense it and everything. A lot of purpose and intention behind.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about the digital economy related to how social media, delivery apps, and when I went to your shop recently, they got all my name and my phone, and like when you come here, you just put your phone, it's all connect. I love that. It's like I get the emails, so I belong to the grind tribe now. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
That
So
was a
how did you came about all this idea to enhance what you do, and do you think all this technology is helping to move
I
forward
mean,
beyond the
it's
neighborhood?
important. It's important for structure, and it gave us an opportunity to know our customer. We know when their birthday is. We have a loyal that the 10th drink is free, so that gives people something to look forward to. So technology plays a big part of business these days. You have the delivery apps that supplements the business from just walk-in business, but it's social media has played a big part. Again, Mateo had a lot to do with the social media presence and giving giving a storytelling of the brand online. And so I think social media is important. It's important to engage with your customer. So I think it's a big part of business right now. Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Using those tools, and I would tell people when I started as an artist, when I started as an artist, we need to have a friend photographer took, photos high quality, and we
Right,
make slides,
right,
and then we send in the
right,
mail with our resume printed in a
right.
paper, and
I
it will
mean,
take a cycle of 3 months to see if we can work with a gallery and institution.
but you know what I think is good about that? It was more intentional, and it took more time. Now it's fast tracked. You wake up in the morning, you're so stimulated by is equality. You used to have to do a portfolio. You used to have to do photography. You used to have to lay the graphics down. You used to have to put a lot of attention into your portfolio. Now it's to me, social media has watered. I think it watered down a lot of things, and I think back in the days, it's quicker. Now you have AI. It's getting even more quicker. But back in the days, the portfolio used to be more of a ceremonial, more purpose, more thought out. Now it's instant gratification, instant, instant, instant. You know,
I agree with you on that point. I think,
and
you know,
then they'll say we're dated, but our shit stands the test of time. You see artwork on our walls; those don't come from people that's doing the art right now. That's like Basquiat. That's all artwork from back in the days where artwork took time. It took thought. It was, you really thought about what you were doing. it took direction. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I think you're right about that. In reflecting about this topic, I feel, you know, I run the youth program, JCY Map. You helped to
yeah,
sponsor.
of
Remember,
course, of
you
course,
sent the
of
coffee.
course, of
The
course,
coffee kept me
of
going. My
course, of
assistant's
course, of
going.
course.
You know, when I run my project with the youth, I always use this terminology. I say this is called a collage generation. They're just grabbing things quick and
Right,
putting together and just presenting. So I feel a lot of then is found a foundation, right? A philosophical foundation and a historical foundation. So what I try to do a lot of the students is to slow down their tracks and like and ask them, do you know the source? So
right,
a lot of them don't know the source. They're just quickly going, navigating, and doing this and that. I think the part of the technology that is amazing, then I don't know. One of the things I tell my students is, listen, do not use this Instagram, all these tools to put stupidity out there
right,
because that is going to create a very bad footprint for
right,
you to find a job
right,
later
right,
and be intentional. So I always say be intentional. I don't have a need to post every day, okay?
right,
But every day that I post, I try to make meaningful.
right,
You gotta have
right,
something. I wanna, you know,
right,
present an idea or
right,
something I'm doing.
right.
I wanna post every 5 minutes. I'm not part of it. I don't understand that. Right. So you're right about that.
And
I
they
think
don't.
this fast paced of life.
It's too, and it's like you ask an artist now, who's your bet, who do you like that did surrealism, and I would say Dali, Salvador Dali. They were like, who, what? You know?
And that is mainstream, you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly.
But
But
some of them
come
don't
on.
know that.
Oh yeah. So
I
all right,
agree.
which
I
one you like?
agree.
Which
Yeah,
you like
yeah, yeah.
crucifixion? Which one do you like?
Yeah, true.
Persistence of time? Which one?
True,
That was
true.
that's how you understood art back in the
Yeah,
days. You
true, true.
studied it.
You know, I actually made they go part of my youth project. They have to go to museum with me. It's
Which
in
museum?
we
The MoMA.
I do them to MoMA to the
Mm, mm,
Metropolitan.
mm.
I took them to the
And
Guggenheim
how
once.
beautiful is that?
Amazing, amazing. And now last year we ran the program inside Mana. The year we did here with you, the
Mm,
10th
mm,
anniversary,
mm,
we went to MoMA. Last
mm,
year we ran our program. It was the 11th year. We ran the program inside the Mana Contemporary,
mm,
and they have like 3 or 4 top collections, museum
mm,
quality.
mm,
We did Warhol. We
mm,
did some other pop artists. It was
mm.
amazing. But I make sure we make that stop just to slow down and find the source, right?
Mm.
Which is important. So yeah, you have a point there. But the reality is there's no going back, right? We're having a conversation all day. They invented the Instagram. There's no going back now. There's always going forward. Now we're in the AI now. And we need to digest what that is gonna really look like, right, in our society. Yeah. Yeah, I
They
agree with you.
invented AI. They invented Instagram. Okay. Okay. Now AI is running loose. Let's see 5 years from now. You
Sure.
can't take away the MoMA. You can't take away the Met. You can't take away what other generations have done. Not to say you could take away anything that they have done, but it's like it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's more working with your hands and as opposed to working with online and just
Yeah,
fast.
just
Them
clicking
it's more
things, right?
fast fashion. If you even want to talk fashion, that's more fast fashion. Designers used to design
True,
collections. Now
true,
it's fast
true.
fashion. It's like knock off a silhouette and put it on Instagram and have a it's different. It's different now. It's different.
True, true.
It's just different. And it's okay. Everything's changing, evolving. When I used to travel a lot to Europe and I would talk with the creative directors in big companies like Levi's, or I'd be at LVMH or wherever, and I would talk to the creative directors, and they were always like 50, 55, and I found that the United States and Europe was different, and I'll say why. Because in the United States there was a big target on your back if you was a creative director and was older. In Europe there was a ton of respect for creative directors. They
Wow.
love their knowledge. You know what I mean?
True,
So
true.
it was even in Asia. I used to travel a lot to Asia. It was a lot of respect for creative directors, even in Asia, creative
Wow.
directors in Europe. But when you got to the United States, it's not so much. It's all about
Right.
dollars, you
Right.
know.
Wow, it made totally sense. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I had a good friend of mine, collector, and he was in the banking industry, investment. And he was from Switzerland. He used to come a lot in New York. We had a lot of long conversations, and I'm like, "Tell me, what do you think is the real difference about U.S. and Europe? How you feel? What's the main thing?" He tells me, I love it. This he says to me, "You know what? And the U.S. is this. They creating a product. The product is not even done. It's not even approved. They're already doing the marketing, and they pushing out there, and they doing pre-sales. In Europe, they don't dare to do that. They need to approve and then once everything is regulated, then they're gonna begin the other part. And then he says, well, there's pros and cons. United States those are ahead of the game with the product, but some stuff goes real wrong
right,
later on. But Europeans won't do that. And
right,
it's very interesting when I think about that in retrospective, just in the food industry, right? And you are connected. Uh, you see that the quality of the labels in the United States be much worse than in Europe.
right.
The quality of the food, the product, and the
Oh, you mean like
ingredients.
processed?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
United States the king of processed food, and I go to Costco and you say Costco is amazing. I have my Yuka app. I scan everything. There's a lot of stuff there that is not good, man. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? But in Europe, now the quality of the ingredients and the way the
Of
accountability,
course,
they
of
take
course,
that much, much
of
more
course, of
serious,
course, of course,
and that means quality of life
of
translated
course,
to your table every day.
of course, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. You just bring European quality, man, with the best of America.
Yeah,
Say
yeah,
to the most cool neighborhood here,
yeah.
Bergen-Lafayette,
Mhm.
Liber Art District.
Yeah,
So in closing, I just want you to make you came to our opening at 9:02, right?
mhm.
And we begin to celebrate. What do you like to see in the next years to come around
I
our
think
neighborhood here?
I think I would like to see the Liberty Art District advance and move up and get higher and more organized and bring more culture to this community, but in an organized way with the people that have helped build the community. That's why I like what you guys are doing and I support what you guys are doing because you don't want to look up and like I said, it goes back to we built the foundation and someone else benefits.
Sure.
We have to benefit. Either it's being benefited by having these kind of podcasts or benefit monetarily, where we should benefit. And I think what I would like to see more art, more exhibits, more high level activations, but we be involved. We be involved down to Dan at Senalise and Don doing the beer and you involved with the art, and I'm doing the coffee, and I'm doing, we're all involved with the the growing of this community. I think because we take it serious. What you guys did over the summer is very impressive. To pull that off down to the invite, it was very impressive. Like that was no small feat to get to murals on the wall and like with very, very little support, you guys got it done. And I think I would like to see your vision and everyone's vision come to light, man. That's what I would like to see in the next 10 years.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you being the pioneer. It's great to work with you, man, and to be continuing with the great things this year, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for coming, man.
No problem, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching another great episode of Culture Shift with Duda Penteado, and to be continued.